today I'm gonna teach you how to do an upper body accessory lift that is either gonna carry over to your bench press and make it superhuman strong, or it's gonna tear your rotator cuff in half. So that is the dip. All right, so I'm gonna teach Sarah how to do a dip today. Sarah has actually never done a dip. We're not entirely sure if she can even do a dip, but we're gonna see if she can, and we're gonna see if I can coach her. So this piece is an attachment. Most squat racks now have an attachment that will go on them. This is a Rogue, I think it's an R3 rack, and this is called a Matador, which is just an attachment with bars that are two bars that are parallel to the ground, but they're not parallel to each other. They actually run on an angle. And this matters for a couple reasons. One, I've got a nice stable surface that I can do dips on as opposed to, say, gymnast rings or something that could move and cause some potential rotator cuff problems. And two, because these bars aren't parallel to each other, they accommodate a wide range of skeletal sizes. So I, as big as I am, I might go further out as where the bars are wider apart. Sarah's gonna be closer up, and someone who is, even my kiddos at 8 and 14 years old, they can come up and do these really, really close where the bar is very close together. So whether you train at a commercial gym or a CrossFit gym or a powerlifting gym, almost all of them will have dip bars. But if you train at your house and your garage gym or basement gym, you can buy this for pretty cheap as an attachment to any basic squat rack. So remember, Sarah's never done this before, so I'm gonna walk her through it like I were coaching her through it the very first time. So the first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna take a grip that's probably about 3 inches behind this main piece. And the first thing you're gonna do is jump up and get into extension where your elbows are extended. Perfect, bend your knees. Now, you're just gonna lower yourself under control, nice and slow, and then fire back up. That looks really good. Let's do another one. What I'm looking for is a vertical forearm, and I'm looking for her shoulders to go just below her elbow, just below parallel. One more. And back up, and then just step down nice and smooth. That looks great. That's what I'm looking for in a basic dip. How old are you?
27.
All right, Sarah is 27 years old. Sarah, I think, probably has good shoulders. Did that bother your shoulders when you did that?
No.
Here's the rule. If you do a dip and it bothers your shoulders, don't do it. That's a real bad idea. This is a nice compound movement, and as you know, our basic criteria for movements are, we want to use movements that use the most muscle mass, and so because I have so many joints moving, this uses a ton of muscle mass. All of the muscles around the shoulder girdle, around the elbow, so I get the pec, the delts, the triceps, lots and lots of work there. So that's number one, that's good. Number two, it's a big range of motion, which is great too. And number three, the nice thing about a dip is I can actually titrate the weight up. I'm not gonna ask you what you weigh, but whatever you weigh is what you're dipping. And then if you get to the point where you can do enough reps to add weight, I can add a dip belt, and we'll show that here in a minute. So again, what we're looking for is a vertical forearm, lean forward and dip nice and slow, and just below parallel humerus or upper arm, so she's gonna just break parallel, go a tiny bit deeper, a ½ inch deeper, and up. Let's do one more, go down slow, bend your knees, and fire up hard. That's a nice rep, I like that, good. All right, so if you're trying dips and you can't do them with just body weight at first, a great way to start this progression is to use bands. So you just hook the bands around the dip bars and hop up in here, and you're gonna put it around your knees. Yep, one knee there, two knees there, and fire up. Good, give me 3. And then when you get to the point where you can dip 4 sets of 8 or 4 sets of 10, somewhere in that ballpark, do 10 reps of body weight, you'll start to add weight via a dip belt. Or I like putting chains around my neck because it actually helps facilitate leaning forward in the dip. So the dip, really for me, when I program it, I think about it as the second body weight, upper body movement that I'm gonna add after chins or pull-ups. So we've got the video on chins or pull-ups, check that out first. Make sure you're doing that first in programming. Dips would be the next one I would add to a basic barbell training. This would be the second body weight exercise I would add, and I would add it at the end of a 4-day split. So when I go to a 4-day split where I have 2 upper body days, I'm gonna put it after the bench press and after the press, or after the press and after the bench press. Probably then gonna do a 3rd exercise for my back, which might be chins or pull-ups or barbell rows, and end with the dip. What's my goal here for sets and reps? Well, in the beginning when I'm trying to get strong, I'm just trying to do like 4 sets of 10, 4 sets of 8. At the point I can get 4 sets of 10, I can add a dip belt and add a little weight. Now here's the thing. The famous strength coach Bill Starr said you have to be able to add 100 pounds to your body weight for this to carry over to your overhead press and your bench press. Now, I'm sure it's going to carry over from a hypertrophy aspect, but Bill Starr probably knew what he was talking about, especially from an overhead press standpoint. If you want your overhead press to go up, you have to not just get better at these from an endurance standpoint, but you have to get better at them from a strength standpoint as well. So we've got to be able to add weight. If at any point the rotator cuff starts to hurt, and we're talking about specifically the AC joint where the humerus would drive in to the acromion here and impinge, stop the movement and move on to something else like our rolling dumbbell tricep extensions. So obviously the last big advantage to this lift is that your arms are going to get jacked. So if you want more great videos on how to get jacked arms with accessory lifts, after you learn how to do the press and the bench press, because that's more important, click the link right up here.